Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our American Missions Small Business Forum. Today, our topic is SWOT analysis, and our speaker is Larry Easto of the Professional Services Connection. His website is professional-services-connection.com, and he also has a Facebook group called New Business Boost. And so you can look for him there, and these videos that he's going to share with us today are going to be on his Facebook group. And so Larry's helping us try out a new format here at OAM. And so I'm going to introduce Larry, share his first video, and then Larry's going to start talking to us more in more detail about SWOT analysis and how it can impact our business. So Larry has been working for over 4 decades, owning and operating his own service businesses, helping clients as a lawyer, a consultant, a best-selling writer, educator, and a coach. He's currently developing a series of online videos that he's sharing with us today to help service professionals, self-employed service providers generate more business with authentic marketing. And in his presentation, he's going to share information about how SWOT analysis and what it is can help you make the most of what you've got. And so this process can be reduced to a series of, reduce the chances of failure by understanding what you don't have, eliminating those hazards and those risks that you would otherwise get you unaware. And better still, it's going to help you generate more new business by taking actions that are closely aligned to who you really are. And this is going to help you stand out from the competition. So Larry, thank you for being on the program today. And I'm going to share your first video with everyone. So just give me a second, everyone, to switch the shares. And we're going to share your, easier said than done, switching between different systems. And it has not started. So bear with me here and see why it is. There it goes. Just a little time lag on the internet. And here is Larry Easto's first video.
What are some of the strengths upon which you build your business success? If you've never really identified the range and depth of your business strengths, you're probably limiting your ultimate success. The easiest and best way of identifying your strengths is a tool popular with consultants, a SWOT analysis. If this term is new to you, a SWOT analysis is a strategic planning process used to help identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats related to business or project planning. Effectively applied, this process can help owners develop strategies for the success of their small businesses. In practice, a SWOT analysis will help you find out what's working well and what's not so good in your business. As a result, the analysis will help you clarify where you want to go, how you might get there, and what might get in your way. More commonly applied in larger organizations, a SWOT analysis can be an invaluable planning tool for owners of small businesses, including service professionals. Although service is an essential element of all businesses, I use the term service business to refer to self-employed service providers who provide either or both of personal and professional services. Typically, these service professionals care as much about the impact they have on their clients' well-being as they do about the income they generate. From my experience, it seems that marketing and management are the 2 biggest challenges facing small service businesses and service professionals alike. For both types of business operations, a SWOT analysis represents the best tool for addressing their business and marketing challenges. Just as a SWOT analysis is the best tool for addressing business and marketing challenges, authentic marketing is the ideal approach for small service-focused businesses and service professionals. Invariably, these small business operations reflect the unique personalities of their owners. Authentic marketing is not so much a new marketing strategy as it is an alternative approach to how service professionals can generate more new business. In effect, it's anything that we do to generate more business that is aligned with our true self. Instead of struggling to apply conventional and current approaches to our marketing, we can shift our focus to the relationship component. Authentic marketing helps us communicate our marketing messages in such a way that they are aligned with our true selves, including our personal beliefs and values. This in turn will achieve 2 results. First, it will distinguish our credible and reliable marketing from the exaggeration, hype, and lies commonly found in today's marketplace. And secondly, it will facilitate the development and maintenance of sound, mutually beneficial relationships. Each of these outcomes can and will help all of us generate more new business. As I mentioned, a SWOT analysis is, in effect, a planning tool. Since authentic marketing is more about philosophy and attitudes than strategies and tactics, there is an easy, almost natural fit between the two concepts. In practice, a SWOT analysis is the logical first step in making your marketing more authentic. This first step starts with identifying your strengths, which is what the next lesson is all about.
So that's great, Larry, to get us started. So when we're talking about the authentic self, how does a service provider do that self-assessment? Are there tools? Where do they need to start in developing that authentic self that's going to be the foundation of their marketing campaign?
Well, obviously, it starts with knowing who you really are. Most of us start out unique, and as we continue through life, we start to adopt other people's behaviors, start to do what other people tell us we should be doing, start to try to meet other people's expectations. So the whole thing starts with a really good understanding of who you are and what you're all about. And in terms of a one-person business, that bounces over to, okay, who am I and how do I help clients? What's my service? Instead of trying to be all things to all people, it's a case of sticking to who you really are and staying in your own lane, as it were. Just continuing to be true to yourself, do what you're really good at, and not get involved in something that says you should be doing this, even though you have no skills. So it's knowing thyself and feeling yourself the truth.
So how does a solo entrepreneur service provider focus in on doing the things that they're good at, their best self, and how do they decide what they say no to when, especially when they're in that startup mode and they're wanting more revenue coming out of COVID, all of those kind of things, when everyone is desperate for that next sale and they don't want to say no to anything because they don't have anything coming in. What's that trade-off and how do they work on that?
I knows the feeling. I've been here so often, so often. I think it all starts with what gives you the biggest joy, what gives you the biggest pleasure. And if that's if that is the leading edge, if that's what you're trying to do, stick there. There's going to be times that we do things that we don't want to do, but it's a case of keeping on track, keeping focused to what you want to do, where you want to go. So it's really a two-part thing. One is recognizing where you want to be, what your goals are, and secondly, continuing to work towards there. So the question is, yes, I want to do this. How is doing this going to help me get there? If it's just generating money short term, so be it. But you don't lose the goals. You don't abandon the goals to go off on a different goose chase. It's staying focused on where you want to be and true to yourself on the trip through.
So Marty, do you have any questions for Larry on this first lesson that he shared with us? I know you come from a big marketing background too, and have grown really great sized companies and effective companies. So what's your question for Larry?
Well, I think it is revolving around this idea of being able to say no to the wrong things and developing patience. Especially for newer entrepreneurs, I know I'm not a newer entrepreneur, I'm a seasoned entrepreneur, but I can remember those early days. I was just so hungry and so in need. So how do you weather that initial storm and stay focused? I like your idea of knowing your true self, and that starts there. But from there, when you're looking at opportunities, that how do you make those align with your true self?
It's a toughie. It's a toughie. Jack Canfield says we've got to learn to say no to a good opportunity to be available for a great opportunity. So it's a case of remaining focused on where we want to go, best using our gifts. We have a lot of God-given gifts that I think we're put on this earth to use. And when we start doing something that is not right, we start to shoot ourselves in the foot. It's just not working. So it's a discipline thing. I mean, we have to pay the bills. I know in all of my jobs, I've done things I didn't really want to do because I needed the money. But it's a case of patience, a case of faith, law of attraction, all of those kinds of nebulous, squishy concepts that running a business, it's not all science. It's not all formula. We have to trust our intuition, trust our instincts.
It's definitely part art, part science.
Oh, totally. Just totally.
And don't you think as seasoned business owners and seasoned in life, don't you think it's a little bit easier for us to do this than someone that's just coming out and maybe younger in their 20s, just getting out of school or just switching a profession, or that haven't really clung to and identified who they really are and where they're going to, and that's an important step in this?
I think so. I think one of the big things is confidence. At this stage in our life, we've all made enough mistakes to know that we can survive them.
And we've learned the most from those
Oh,
mistakes,
totally,
right?
just totally. You know, experience being the great teacher it is. So it's a case of building confidence in yourself and having faith that we're going to do. When I think back to some of the really dumb things I did when I started to work, man, if I knew then what I knew now, I just wouldn't work either, because I am where I need to be where I want to be. But you know, we learned so much, and part of it is faith in ourselves, part of it is confidence, part of it is making the right decisions, and part of it is saying no to the right things and saying yes to the right things. So it's a combination of intuition and heart and science and all these things come together. I tend to be very, very intuitive, so I've learned to trust my intuition like crazy, regardless of what everybody's telling me, regardless of what the numbers are telling me. If it feels right, I'll do it. If it doesn't feel right, it won't go there. Just don't go there.
Absolutely, and that's a strength for your organization. So I'm
Oh,
going to kick
totally.
off this next video. So here comes lesson number 2.
Back in the days when, as a consultant, I used a SWOT analysis as part of helping clients with their strategic planning, it was a really cumbersome process. Typically, it started with an interview with the business owners to get a sense of what they identified as their business's strengths and weaknesses. Once I gained a sense of their views on these factors, I prepared a questionnaire to survey key employees for their input. On completion of that survey process, I prepared a written report that consolidated the information gathered from all sources. And after review and sometimes revisions, this report was the topic of discussion at a planning retreat at which the owners developed their strategic plan for the coming year or years. Cumbersome as it was, the process worked really well. But that was then and this is now. With my current focus on helping service professionals generate more new business with authentic marketing, long drawn-out processes from the past are of limited usefulness. Echoing Shakespeare's immortal words from Macbeth, if it were done when 'tis done, then well it were done quickly. In other words, if you're going to do a SWOT analysis, let's get her done. For a variety of reasons, authentic marketing offers a good model for launching a SWOT analysis. This graphic illustrates the 8 essential elements of authentic marketing. At the center is the authentic you, your physical, emotional, and spiritual being. It's your DNA, your wiring, and similar factors that define and distinguish you from every other human being. The middle ring represents those personal attributes and characteristics that continue to shift and evolve on our personal journeys through life. Typically, this shifting and evolution is the result of our interactions with others and the lessons we've learned either consciously or indirectly. The outer ring represents the marketing-focused actions that we take in order to generate more new business. Starting with services in the upper right-hand quadrant, this is what we sell to generate revenue. Clients are those wonderful people who are prepared to pay us for what we sell. Our brand is what distinguishes us from our competitors, who provide similar kinds of services to clients. First, it will help strangers, including potentially ideal clients and network contacts, understand how you help clients. And second, but equally important, it will also remind clients and contacts of your help. And finally, marketing-focused actions include all those many marketing strategies that we bring into play to connect with potentially ideal clients and continue to generate more new business for our service businesses. By converting your authentic marketing wheel into a list, you can create a checklist for identifying your personal and business strengths. This is what the list would look like. Before offering suggestions as to how to use this checklist, I'll share a secret about the authentic marketing wheel. It started life as a success triangle in which the 3 sides were first, your own good stuff. That's your own physical, intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual resources. Secondly, your attitudes, and thirdly, your actions. I use this concept as a generic approach to explaining the three elements of success in marketing. As I refined my understanding of authentic marketing, the model was also refined. But here's the secret added value. If you replace the 5 marketing focused actions with actions specific to other areas of your life, you can use the SWOT analysis to develop similar strategies for success in virtually all areas of your business and your life. In my mind, that's versatility at its best. To identify your personal and business strengths, go through each of the 8 essential elements of authentic marketing, asking the following questions. What's working in your marketing? And secondly, what do you love about your marketing? Not surprisingly, your strengths play a key role in whatever action you take to generate more new business for your service business. I'll talk more about strengths in lessons 4 to 6. But before that, let's take a look at what's not working, which is what lesson 3 is all about.
So you've set us up really well to be thinking about what's working and what's not working in our organizations and for ourselves. So one of the key questions I think I work with my clients on that is marketing strategies, is when we say what, we're going to pick 3 things for them to use for marketing. What things do they enjoy doing? So I'm not going to make them make cold calls or public speak or those kind of things if that just terrifies them, right? So what strength can we play to that's in their authentic self for that marketing? So how do we guide them through that? How do we get them to not be afraid to say, I'm not good at that, or that's not where my strength lies, and overcome that aspect of themselves?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the confidence, to saying confidence to say no to, so you can say yes to the right thing. I like to think that there's, I don't know, probably dozens, hundreds. We really only need 3 or 4 really good strategies. And part of the problem with marketing is that whenever there's something new, everybody jumps on board, regardless of whether or not it fits.
The flavor
So
of the month.
Oh, totally, just totally. So I'm comfortable public speaking, so I've done it. I love writing, so I do it.
Right.
Cold calling, not so much. Anything that's outside my comfort zone, I don't want to go there.
Right.
So it's a case of really zeroing it down to I guess a couple of factors: what you like doing, and secondly, what really works in the market, what's working in your particular market, and how do your clients, how does your marketplace respond? I mean, if I'm wanting to do in different times, if I'm wanting to do live speaking, but everybody wants online stuff, there's a disconnect there. So you have to go where the market is. So it starts with what you like, what you're good at, and how does this resonate with the market?
20 years ago when I started my business, I said if I had to make a cold call, I wouldn't have a business.
Oh, totally.
But I liked writing, I liked speaking, I have the radio show, articles, those kind of things. And the articles was what gave my business the traction right away. And for me, that's an enjoyable thing to do. So God bless me with that. And God's used that to grow my business, right?
Just totally.
But I see so many businesses, like you're saying, they spend so much effort trying to do the latest thing. And so they're jumping from one thing to another, and there's no consistency of anything. And then they're stressing about having to get out to go to a networking thing in the old days, or get on a Zoom meeting like this and give a presentation or introduce themselves to a group. And so, again, getting back to that authentic self, and Marty's talked about it, and when he's spoken before, is that giving yourself permission to say no to the flavor of the month is important too.
Oh, totally. Just absolutely, totally. One of the things about, one of the amazing things about small businesses is that they represent our own personality, the personality of the owners. And so go back from there. In terms of attracting clients, it's really like making friends. It's about relationships. It's not about selling product. It's not about dumping stuff. It's about building relationships, helping relationships. So anything that helps build a relationship has got to work. If it gets in the way of a relationship, it's not going to work. And so reducing it down to a strength is basically whatever we can do that allows us to showcase our best stuff. And any marketing strategy that allows us to showcase our best stuff and build relationships, that's it. That's bang on.
Marty, what do you think?
Well, I say frequently that great marketing begins with great listening. And in early in the video, you mentioned in the strength and weakness assessment that you polled the employees of an organization to get their insight or their response to what they perceive as strength and weakness, because a business owner or principal may not be that honest with themselves. And so if they only ask themselves that question and no one else, they're going to get probably a skewed view. And so one of the questions I had as I was thinking about that is, what specifically, in what way did you poll those employees in order to get an honest response? Were they allowed to respond anonymously, or what were some of the specifics of that? Because I think it's important.
I didn't, that was, yeah, I didn't use a standard form. It depended upon what the, what the management, what the owners thought would be best. Sometimes I did focus groups, sometimes I did surveys, sometimes I did one-on-one, guaranteed anonymity. Although I would know the names in case I wanted to follow up, I didn't feed that back. I found that focus groups were the best, but they're really tiring and very cumbersome to set up and organize and get the transcripts and all that kind of thing. But you're right, it was the anonymity that was the important thing. And occasionally when I would do the report, the owners, the managers would read it and say, yeah, I knew that was going wrong, but I didn't want to do anything about it, or for whatever reason, I didn't want to address that issue. So having it come from someone else really gave it more weight, gave it more importance. But it depended on, budget, timing, and all those kinds of things, any one of the three. Now I guess you could probably do it online as a variation on the paper surveys. But
Mm-hmm.
it was just a case of, all things considered, what is going to get me the information I need as easily as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one of the challenges I think for ourselves and then our organizations too is being honest about what is and isn't working. And we're about to see the video on this that Larry has shared. And so I'm going to share the screen and we're going to continue learning from Larry on this next lesson on what's not working.
In the last lesson, we converted the essential elements of the authentic marketing wheel into a checklist for identifying your strengths. For the sake of simplicity, the same checklist can also be used as the basis for questions to address weaknesses. In effect, this would mean asking yourself, what's not working in your marketing or other business area being examined? Using this question as a starting point, you can probably generate many more probing questions to identify specific deficiencies, issues, problems, shortcomings, vulnerabilities, or whatever synonym you choose for the word weaknesses. Most service professionals are adept at using probing questions to discover the root cause of their client's situation. The same skill set can be repurposed to play an important role in identifying weaknesses in a SWOT analysis. From a planning perspective, having identified what's not working, the next logical question is,
I've lost the sound. Is it just me?
I've lost the sound as well.
Looks like we've lost Leah too.
Part of the challenges with our new age world.
Yeah.
Even the bravest among us experiences fear from time to time. However, the thing to recognize is that whatever fear may mess with our heads from time to time, we can learn to address these fears in such a way that they don't threaten our ultimate success. A limiting belief is a state of mind, conviction, or belief that you think to be true that limits you in some way. This limiting belief could be about you, your interactions with others, or the world and how it works. Limiting beliefs can have a number of negative effects on you. As is the case with fears, we can learn to address and even better eliminate these beliefs that limit our success. According to Jack Canfield, success coach and co-creator of the Chicken Soup books, 90% of our behavior is habitual. In other words, 90% of the hundreds of our daily actions, both big and small, we undertake by habit. The good news is that habits free up our minds while our bodies operate on automatic pilot. The bad news is some habits are counterproductive and as such represent weaknesses as opposed to strengths. When we do what we've always done, invariably we get the results we've always gotten. As Canfield says, negative habits breed negative consequences. Positive habits breed positive consequences. A SWOT analysis offers an ideal opportunity to identify those negative habits, also known as weaknesses, that breed negative consequences. Before leaving the discomfort of discussing weaknesses for the excitement of new opportunities, one more comment is appropriate. Once weaknesses have been identified, what's to be done about them? Realistically, there are three choices. First, you can ignore them. If we continue to do what we've always done, we'll get the results that we've always gotten. If that's what you want, so be it. A second option would be to work around these weaknesses. That's kind of like a detour on a road trip. More often than not, detours add unwelcome time, hassle, and even expense to a journey. Probably not an ideal permanent solution. While working on this series of lessons about a SWOT analysis, I learned that a feature in my Facebook group was not working. Even though it was not discovered as part of a SWOT analysis, it still qualifies as a weakness. Given that this feature related to a series of events scheduled a week later, it was too important to be ignored. So I set up a workaround in order to not cause problems or otherwise threaten the scheduled events. And finally, the third approach, and in my mind the best choice, is to address the weaknesses or solve issues in a manner that contributes to the overall achievement of goals. That's how I will address the Facebook group issue once the scheduled events have been completed. In the final session, I will discuss addressing weaknesses in greater detail. But in the meantime, let's have a look at opportunities, especially opportunities to generate more new business.
Well, we all have a problem addressing our fears. And that's a challenge that's there. And I think as business owners, we don't necessarily even want to acknowledge that they're there, that we're afraid of trying something or doing something and stepping out of our comfort zones. So when we're addressing those weaknesses, how much time do we spend on trying to counter them, solve them, versus playing to the time to reinforce our strengths? Because there's only so much money and so much time in the day. So how do we make that decision?
It's a toughie. It's one of those, man. It's one of those issues of priority. And I'll get to this further in lesson 6. But interesting, anything like this, my approach has been, what is going to make the greatest contribution to where I want to be? If I want to have this much money or this many dollars or this many clients or these results, what is going to make the greatest difference to that? And then just prioritize using those criteria. What I really wanted to touch in this lesson, and I think you nailed it, is that so many of the weaknesses that small businesses have are not really organizational and not really systems or procedures. It's more the personal stuff that we keep bottled up inside of ourselves, or we ignore, or we don't know about, that causes problems down the road. And this is where the authenticity comes in, that we don't have the benefit of prepared manuals and procedures and processes. A lot of the problems that we cause in our own lives and in our businesses comes from within ourselves, from the fears, the limiting beliefs, the habits, those negative personal things. So when it comes to prioritizing, it's a question of which makes the greatest contribution, and that depends on every individual is different, different times, different circumstances.
I know when we contrast, and I work with my international clients and international corporations, what we find is that other countries want to talk about their strengths and only focus on their strengths. And I think here we tend to spend so much time on working on our weaknesses, we overlook playing to our strengths. So somewhere in there, there's this balance that we need to find, right?
Yeah.
And so if we don't acknowledge that, when I say I have no diplomacy gene. It is not in my DNA. I am blunt to the point. Marty's gonna laugh. And so, I tell that to my clients. I'm just going to tell it to you straight out. I'm not going to necessarily find the most diplomatic way of saying it, but if we have an issue, we have an issue and we're going to confront it head on. And so that actually became part of my authentic marketing, was that, that 3 strikes and you're out. I've fired clients. I've turned down clients, and people will say, your business can't grow that way. I said, well, that's the only way my business can grow, because the person that's going to show up is me. Right. And so people try to pretend like they're good at everything, or they never make a mistake, or they know everything. And that gets it back to those fears. And so if we're admitting what our strengths are, if we're admitting what we're good at and what we're bad at, we can surround ourselves with team members that lift us up where we're weak, and give those other missing skill sets and pieces of the puzzle, versus trying to do it all and be the perfect person, which we all know as seasoned individuals that we're not perfect and we don't know everything, and we do make mistakes, and we need other skill sets than the ones that we have and that we're good at.
Exactly.
Marty, you want to share? You're still on mute. There you go.
I've seen in my own life and in the life of other entrepreneurs, I've observed that this idea of fear is real, and it stifles action is what it does. We get paralyzed, and it's easier to do nothing than it is to take corrective action sometimes. And the other thing that is a barrier to taking action is we are so adverse to change. If what we've always been doing is working mediocre, we'll accept that just because of our fear of the unknown and what might be involved with taking action and change. And so the courage to change is a challenge many times.
Or we run into a COVID situation, which has forced so many businesses to change and find those rocks and those weaknesses in their organization that they didn't want to acknowledge before. They came to the surface. Whether we wanted to change or not, we had to change in the face of what's been going on for the past year.
Very true.
All right, we're going to get into the next video and hear more from Larry, and he'll share more insights.
For those fortunate folks who are free of a limiting mindset and beliefs, when it comes to opportunities, their biggest challenge is the overabundance, not the scarcity. More often than not, the issue is choosing the best of many opportunities that come their way. From a purely business perspective, the best opportunity are those that make the biggest contribution to the flow of new business, both in the short term and the long term. Realistically, there are only 2 optional sources of new business. One is existing clients and the other is new clients. Further, there are only 2 ways to generate new business from these sources. One is to provide more existing services and or products, and secondly, it's to provide new services and or products. As a result, this means there are 4 basic options to generating more new business. Here's how that looks when set up as a table. As nicely as the approaches can be fit into the table, some are easier than others. Others generate more personal and business growth. Providing more existing services and or products to existing clients is the easiest and usually the fastest way to generate more new business. That's because we can build upon our existing relationships with existing clients to help them even more. In many cases, clients don't always know the full range and scope of our services. Perhaps they and you are so focused on an immediate issue that related or supplementary concerns are ignored. Our clients win because they receive more help than they had expected. Our win comes in the form of new business and the revenue that it generates. By way of keeping things simple, here are 2 suggestions for delivering new services and products to existing clients. Each of these suggestions can be implemented with minimal learning and development time, energy, and money. Information products are products that deliver some sort of educational information. Think ebooks, instructional videos, and online courses. There's a seemingly limitless supply of online information that will help create and distribute whatever information products you choose as new service offerings. As well as demonstrating your knowledge and expertise, education and training programs help you enhance relationships with existing clients. In planning your programs, think of the questions you most often ask about your service. Then answer the questions in a manner in which interested people can draw their own conclusions and figure out how to apply the concepts to their own individual situations. The next best opportunity to generate more business is to find new clients for your existing services and/or products. Because you can effectively serve and satisfy existing clients, you can probably serve and satisfy new clients like them, if only you can attract potentially ideal clients. The best opportunities for attracting more ideal clients lie in 2 tried and true strategies: referrals and networking. Referrals represent the absolute best source of new clients for service businesses. For most service businesses, referrals represent the source of most, if not all, new clients. As effective as generating referrals is, it's seldom as automatic a process as many of us would like it to be. First and foremost, if you want referrals, you must earn them. And second, if you want referrals, you must ask for them. When asking for referrals, it's important that your potential referral sources understand what kinds of clients are ideal for you and how your services help these clients. If and when you run out of family, friends, and satisfied clients whom you can ask for referrals, networking becomes your next best strategy. It is through networking, both individually and through groups, that you can identify more referral sources. What about the 4th possible opportunity? Even in the best of circumstances, there are enough threats to a business that it makes little sense to add more potential risk. And speaking of threats, that's what the next lesson is all about.
Well, it is definitely a challenge to be able to look at what we're doing and how we want to grow our business, and to articulate to our existing customers who we are and what we do beyond the part that they see what we do. So I love that point of your best business growth comes from referrals and making sure they know who the best customer is and about what you're doing. So how do those opportunities expand? How do we maximize those? How do we develop a process to remind ourselves to ask for those referrals and have those relationships build?
The easiest thing is, would you like fries with that? McDonald's and all the restaurants are constantly upselling. People, a lot of products are constantly being upsold. You buy a car, you buy computer equipment, you buy anything, there's always upsells there. Most of the time they're good, some of the time it's just a ripoff. And in terms of providing services, there's all sorts of opportunities to provide upsells without pushing, basically it's a case of adding more value. Back in the days that I practiced law, I would quite often add a will to a real estate transaction. A young couple was buying their first house. So I would say, would you like a will with that? And I always got some resistance because people don't want to talk about wills. So I sneakily built into my real estate fee the price of a will. And then I said, well, here, I'll do a free will for you as part of it. At the time it was like $5 or $10 for a will. I know I'm dating myself, but I built it in to allow the opportunity for an upsell. And for corporate commercial clients, when I incorporated a company, I was saying, would you like me to continue to organize the corporate minutes for you, do the corporate returns every year? Oh, I never thought I had to do those kinds of things. Oh yeah, you have to file these forms with the government, you have to do minutes and all those kinds of things. Oh God, well here, I'll do it for you, no problem. You know, it will be the minute book here in my office, and when it's ready, we'll get them ready and you just go in and sign it. So that's what I did then. Now what I do when I have a product to sell and an information product to sell, I'll dump more product into it. If it sells for like $197, I'll add $200 worth of other product. Or if I do a seminar like this, where you're doing this training, I will add the self-study guide to help them. So it's an upsell for no charge, but it's not it wouldn't be hard to say, okay, so we've been through the seminar, would you like to pay an extra $10 for this, and it will do this for you. So as long as you can add value, there's all sorts of opportunities for upsell. And again, as long as it's being driven by adding value to the client, there's all sorts of things can be done. Clients don't always know what you can help them, and they're always quite often thinking of only dollars, but if you can provide more service, you've got a relationship, it works out better.
I know when I take in a new client with government contracting, one of the things I do as part of that initial engagement is to assess their background and see what's there that is going to keep them from being compliant from day one. Things that they've done in HR, or things that, how they've filed information with the government, or so there's like this whole assessment. I know one client I started working with this week was, we sat down and found that they reported the incorporation date improperly on one of the government systems. And so we needed to reconcile that, or they didn't have the legal name properly denoted on the contracts. And so that, as a lawyer, know where that leads down to. So yeah, it's finding those extra things that they don't know they need, they don't know about, and what's going to come, and making sure you should sort of put your arms around them. And it's not an add-on price, like you said, in services, it's more content for the price they're already getting. And so that makes them have that warm fuzzy. Marty, you've always been great at marketing and relationships and referrals. You're a master on LinkedIn and things. So how do you connect this in with what Larry's sharing with the audience to what you've experienced in your businesses?
Well, I think it's central to something that was mentioned a little while ago, and that's relationship. Great marketing is all about relationship. You have to develop a connection, or you won't be heard. And so it's a process of constantly assessing needs of your customers, responding to them, but doing all that in a way that's relationship driven. And a lot of what I talk about is gratitude, and what a powerful business growth strategy that gratitude is. And if your customers know how grateful you are to them, if your employees know how grateful you are for them, they're going to go to war for you, and they're going to go respond, in the tough times. And that's when the gratitude really comes into play, is when it's needed the most. But it's all about relationship. And so as a male, well, we don't like talking about warm and fuzzy things like that. Well, I've gotten over it.
We have to.
And I tell business owners, I said, if you are not emotionally invested in your business and in your people and your customers, you're doing the wrong thing. You're in the wrong business. So it's not going to be gratifying to you in the long run. You're just going to endure things if you don't love it. And so that four-letter word in business circles, love. Well, we got to be careful talking about that, or HR could have a problem in the workplace.
Well, the 5 love languages, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he has one at work, 5, relationship languages, I think is what he calls them at work. And they're really insightful to apply those, because it's like, what is that incentive? What is that connection? And with customers, I have customers, if I want to do something great for them, giving them an extra hour as a thank you at no cost, works for some, and others want to hear the words, right? It doesn't matter how many hours, or whatever that little extra thing is. They need to hear, thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank you for that referral and all those kind of things. And so I think we can tell the three of us share the background and being seasoned and having some of those core values of that spiritual impact and gratitude and things in our relationships. I think it's a great jumping off point for the next video. This is lesson 5 in the SWOT analysis, and we're going to look at the internal and the external. And I'm going to share the screen right now. And Larry's going to share some more insights.
Threats to the success and indeed the very survival of our businesses can be either internal or external. Internal threats are those counterproductive circumstances that we create for ourselves or otherwise allow to continue. External threats are those outside events that happen to us, like the COVID pandemic. In my mind, the two major internal threats are not surprisingly interrelated. The first is trying to be all things to all people.
I think we've had a problem with the sound again.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know what the narrative is, but I can't jump in.
Did it work?
There are real estate lawyers around and pursuing claims arising from motor vehicle accidents. It was also not uncommon for lawyers who normally worked in the area of wills and trusts to undertake criminal defense or defendant divorce actions. There was a very high risk of these lawyers messing up big time. Can you say negligence and professional malfeasance? Like these cash-hungry lawyers, service professionals who try to be all things to all people become nothing to nobody. To avoid this threat, it's important to take the time and effort to identify who your ideal clients are and focus on attracting more of them. By way of clarification, your ideal clients are those clients you love to serve and are really good at satisfying. They're also ready, willing, and able to pay for your help. As a threat, lack of differentiation is much the same as trying to be all things to all people. For better or for worse, a lack of differentiation means that everyone in the same area seems to provide the same service to all clients in exactly the same way. In other words, all accountants are the same, all coaches are the same, and so on and so on. In practice, this lack of differentiation will get you lost in a crowded field of noisy competitors chasing the same clients who might be ideal for you. Once again, drawing upon my former life as a lawyer, here's an example of the problem of lack of differentiation. As my personal relationships with clients became more comfortable, many would say something like, "Gee, Larry, you don't act like a lawyer." My typical response was to act shocked and ask what I should have been doing differently. Invariably, this led to a discussion of my clients' expectations of a lawyer, usually based on the worst stereotypical behaviors. Ever the educator, I would explain that at that specific point, they were interacting with me as my role as a lawyer. But there were many other roles for me: husband, father, neighbor, skier, golfer, and so on. The point of this example is that as individuals, each of us has a unique combination of skills, talents, and life experience. It is this unique combination of personal abilities and attributes that not only allows us to serve and satisfy our ideal clients in our way, but stand out from the crowd and distinguish ourselves from the competition. The absolute best way to minimize, if not totally eliminate, the threats inherent in a lack of differentiation is to create and maintain a personal brand. This process includes showcasing your authentic best self and, even better, attracting more ideal clients. Regardless of the size or nature of your business, your most valuable external assets are the relationships with those people who contribute to your success. These people include clients, referral sources, network contacts, strategic or collaborative partners, and suppliers. As circumstances and people change, these relationships also shift and evolve. Some relationships change for the better, offering more benefits for all concerned. When that happens, treat it as a gift and keep doing whatever you've been doing. On the other hand, sometimes these essential relationships weaken to the point of breaking. Given the importance of strong, mutually beneficial relationships to success in business, weakened or broken relationships cannot be ignored. As will be discussed in the next lesson, The appropriate response to weakened or broken relationships is whatever will make the biggest contribution to your ultimate success. If a relationship can be fixed so that once again it makes a significant contribution to your success, by all means, do whatever it takes to restore it to its previous functionality. Realistically, however, not all relationships can be restored. Sometimes the best approach is to let go of problematic relationships, just as we let go of those non-productive behaviors and tangible products that are no longer serving us. And finally, there are those external factors such as economic or market conditions that, despite the best of intentions and efforts, we cannot control. As individuals, none of us control either the COVID pandemic or the unprecedented fallout from it. We can and should, however, control our response to the pandemic. If there's a silver lining to the pandemic, it's a reminder of the key words of the Serenity Prayer. Grant us the serenity of mind to accept that which cannot be changed, courage to change that which can be changed, and wisdom to know one from the other.
I'm going to hop right into the next video just because we're coming up to the end of the time. So just give me just a second. And if you want to share something while I'm getting to the next video, Larry, please do so.
No.
And here we go with lesson 6.
Now that I've introduced the concepts of a SWOT analysis and authentic marketing, let's see how they fit together. As a philosophy, authentic marketing is a comforting and reassuring thing to have, but in and of itself, it's unlikely to generate a single dollar of revenue. The real value of authentic marketing lies in its ability to help you generate more new business in a manner that is perfectly aligned with your true authentic self. In practice, this means developing and implementing a marketing plan based on your own strengths, not standardized strategies and techniques that someone else tells you to do. Although developing and implementing a marketing plan is beyond the scope of this program, let's take a quick look at the goal setting component. Revisiting the authentic marketing wheel will provide some context. The outside ring identifies the action elements of authentic marketing. For purposes of goal setting, these are the areas on which to focus. We'll start with services at the upper right, primarily because this is at the core of service businesses. As mentioned earlier, it is our services that define us and our businesses. This means for purposes of authentic marketing, your services-related goals are based on your personal strengths. Along with your services, your clients comprise the core of your business. Your ideal clients are those individuals and organizations whom you can help with your own unique combination of skills, talents, and know-how. Once again, these are your strengths. Your personal brand defines who you are as a professional and distinguishes you from competitors who provide services similar to yours. It helps potentially ideal clients understand and appreciate how they will benefit from your distinctiveness. Yes, your brand also reflects your strengths. For purposes of authentic marketing, our true real-life stories help potentially ideal clients understand how we can help them. Our stories also help build relationships with current clients as well as remind past clients of how we help them. Not surprisingly, our stories help illustrate our strengths. And finally, there's the overly abundant area of marketing strategies. For many people, marketing is all about strategy. That probably explains why there's so many marketing experts talking about so many marketing strategies. To keep things simple, the right strategies to achieve your marketing goals are those strategies that make the most of your true authentic self. In other words, your personal strengths. At this point, the connection between the strengths component of a SWOT analysis and authentic marketing is obvious. The strengths, as identified in a SWOT analysis, play a major role in the goals and strategies elements of your authentic marketing plan. But that's not where the connection ends. Your authentic marketing goals, as influenced by your SWOT analysis, become evaluation criteria for your WHATs, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What can or should you do about any weaknesses that your SWOT analysis uncovers? If you choose to ignore any or all weaknesses, you can expect to achieve pretty much the same results you've already achieved. If you're okay with that, end of story. If you want better results, addressing weaknesses is essential. Not only do they drain resources, they handicap success, ultimately becoming threats. One option for addressing weaknesses is to work around them. The other is to address and resolve them. Which option is best? Whichever one makes the best contribution to the achievement of your marketing goals. Once you have chosen an option, what actions are best? Whatever actions make the best contribution to the achievement of your marketing goals. From my experience, opportunities tend to arise frequently and often in bunches. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's abundance or the law of attraction in action, or perhaps it's the gust connection looking after me. It might even be just a stroke of luck. After all, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Whatever the explanation, it doesn't really matter. What does matter is pursuing the right opportunity instead of going down the rabbit hole of the wrong opportunity. Many superachievers believe that it's better to say no to a good opportunity in order to say yes to a great opportunity. What's the difference between the right opportunity and the wrong opportunity, or between a good opportunity and a great one? If you've been paying attention, you know the answer. The ideal opportunity is the one that makes the best contribution to the achievement of your goals. Not surprisingly, the best way to minimize threats, as identified in your SWOT analysis, is the manner that makes the best contribution to the achievement of your goals. We have now reached the end of our exploration of a SWOT analysis and authentic marketing. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. My hope is that you've enjoyed it as much as I have.
And I'm going to share the contact information for Larry. And I'm going to say to Larry and to Marty, thank you both for being here today and sharing your insights. And Larry, I've shared your website here. It's www.professional-services-connection.com. Your Facebook group is New Business Boost. And I want to thank you for all your insights and let you wrap this up with a couple takeaways for our audience.
Oh, wasn't expecting that. That's fine. I think the key with the SWOT analysis is to keep in mind that it's yet another way of helping identify who we are, what we're all about. And as I said in the last chapter, we use the SWOT analysis to help us keep on track to where we want to go. If it gets to where you want to be, do it. If it doesn't, don't.
Thank you again for joining us, Larry, and sharing your expertise. And we hope you'll come back and join us and sharing these discussions with our American Mission Small Business Forum again. And thanks again, everybody. And until next time, stay safe and stay focused and grow your businesses.